LinkedIn is pretty great at a lot of things, like helping you tap into the latest trends and insights in your field. We cannot stop your coworker from tapping her pencil. LinkedIn can help you find new jobs that align with your career goals. We cannot help you find the source of that weird smell in the office fridge. Ew. And while we can't stop your coworkers from bringing their hobbies into the office, LinkedIn can help you bring your career to the next level. LinkedIn is the network that works for you.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
This week on the SRC podcast, the run-in has begun as we enter the last 4 weeks of the regular season. Coaches' comments, Predictor League, and much, much more. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the SRC Podcast. Joining me, Big M, as always, the one and only Double R, Mr. Rob Rees. Good evening, my friend. How are we?
Yeah, all good, mate. Excited. The league is back. Well, properly back. We're getting back to the stuff that matters.
Yeah, 100%. I'm bouncing. I'm really bouncing to see how this shape, because this is probably the tightest it's been for quite a few years now.
Yeah.
And like just on socials, I just thought I'll have a little look now, because obviously finally everyone is caught back up. We're all on 14 games apiece. We're all level, and we know the way the league is shaping up. So obviously top 6, it gets through that wild card round, and then obviously go from there. So, and from 3rd place to 6th, 9 points. That's it. That's a game and a half with a 6 bonus point. That's absolutely ridiculous. And we got Llandovery, Cardiff, Newport, Ebbw Vale even though they're probably safe, all clashing against each other in this run-in. Absolutely mental. Oh, there we go. Let's get comfy. So there was, to bring us all to 14 games apiece, we had Swansea at home, kinda. That's just a theme for the year, against Pontypool. And now, obviously, we had to eat our words a little bit last week, because obviously Pontypool, they played a great 40 minutes, and then they kind of didn't turn up in our second half. So here we go. We got Swansea on a massive emotional high after winning their first Peter Silverware in, 25 years. They've now got to go back into the league against Pontypool side that really should have been, up for everything. And for 40 minutes, wow, Pontypool done it again. Really, really controlled this game, 11-0 up. And then I think it's the whistle. I think there's a mentality. They hear that whistle and they think the game's over. Because the second week on the bounce, they've only scored 7 points in the second half. And they've given up, okay, not as commanding as last week, but a very solid 2-score lead. I mean, we thought the absolute opposite literally 2 weeks ago. What has happened to this Pontypool side in this short space of time?
Yeah, they've completely lost a bit of direction, you feel. But if you completely lose it, you wouldn't get there in the first place. Are they in a bit of a rut where they're struggling to win games, see them out, maybe? Where, you can lose more games than not. I think we did get it spot on the pod last week. I think that they have massively missed Morgan Lloyd. That was a big thing for them. But it's one of those ones. Pontypool's forwards are still dominant, and it's just the backs just don't know what to do with it at the moment, and that is a big problem, because if teams like Swansea will start living on that fringe, RGC are a sort of a similar side where you don't need that forward dominance to start creating a lot of good positive rugby and generating a score. And they claw their way back into it with that, and actually obviously take the win. Is again the scrum, the line out has gone in Pontypool's favour, but it was one of those games where big defence, big sort of clean breaks, beating the defenders every single carry when it was going to the back three, and unfortunately, Poole are defending what seems to be narrowly out of this at the moment. The same with that second half against Bridgend, and teams are finding that if they can get the ball out wide, then that is how to exploit Pontypool. So it's game management is just not at the level it needs to be, and unfortunately, it's one of those ones. Like I said, Kieran Meek missed the kick in the last minute to win this game, so they could have still won this game. Misses that, and they go away and lose another game. But they said Swan. This is why this season is so good, as you already alluded to. Is Swansea are one of those teams now that have stepped up and are middle ground sort of team, but that middle ground covers such a big part of the table.
Yeah, you give him a name, but there, Kieran Meek, obviously missing for a good chunk of this season. For I think it was injury. I'm not 100% sure. I know he was with the Barbarians at one point as well. But he's given us something we haven't had at all in the league this season, and that is a drop goal. So, well done. He completed the set on the weekend. He got a conversion, a penalty, and a drop goal. One of each. He wanted to keep them level. That's why he missed that last kick. He thought, do I want the win, or do I want my trifecta to be even across the board? That's the only reason I can think of.
What a player. There we are.
But no. So, obviously, it's tough to take. I mean, okay, we both backed Swansea last week, so 100% on the league last week, predictor. Yay, happy days. But you expected Swansea to struggle at least in the first half, which is what we saw because of that plate final. That was, it's just basic. Basic. Anyone knows that the performance after a cup final is never as good as the final itself. So they managed to get 3 tries in that second half, just miss out on a bonus point. So I think it was Ewan Glynn and Brandon Wood with a double. For them, Josh Phillips, a nice conversion and a penalty to give them their 20. Pontypool, again, that pack is strong, as you said. Scott Matthews, Morgan Allen, 2 massive cogs in their pack. Obviously, huge amounts of experience getting over the line for them. Kieran Meek with his trifecta for that 18, so 2018 that finished. And, well, we'll come on to a bit more Swansea in a bit, but looking solid for them. Like you said, they've stepped up this season. This whole middle ground, like you said, it's huge. Like, even looking at the wild card out here, you got Pontypool that on now a big downer. We did expect them to pick up quite a few points in these last fortnight, but there's 10 points between 9th and 7th. And we're not expecting these teams to be winning every week, so that's going to bounce around a lot. Then, like I said earlier, 9 points between 3rd and 6th, which is a real crunch area. Cardiff are only 5 points above that, and they've got let's have a look. They've got Pontypool, Llandovery, and Newport. And Swansea, sorry. So, obviously, if Pontypool can turn up this weekend, absolutely amazing. But after that, it's 3 teams in and around fighting for those home quarterfinals. So, absolutely amazing for this league right now. And there's just so much jeopardy, and I absolutely fucking love it. So,
I think that is the good thing, though, right? It's not just, it's top 4 and then they go into a playoff. You're playing for top 4 for a home advantage. Then you go in top 2 for the home semi-final guaranteed, as obviously as long as you win. But also it's 7th and 8th get a home tie in the wild card. So that's all still to play for. So like I said, and we've mentioned it several times, it's not just the advantage you pick up on the rugby, in the rugby sort of terms, it's all the financial aspect as well that builds on.
Yeah. And like obviously last season we were kind of umming and ahhing, how is this going to work, with the playoffs, with every single team being involved. But that wild card really does set it up that anyone can really have a crack at it. Obviously, 5th v 4th and 6th v 3rd is, big quarterfinals anyway. That's fairly equal across the board. But when you go into look at the wild cards and you go, okay, they're a little bit lower down, but okay, you've got a home game then, let's say you're 7 or 8 against 9th or 10th, and you can give yourself a good win and give yourself a little bit of form to take into these other teams that, okay, they are top end, but they haven't played for a couple of weeks then. So everything sort of balances. It's enticing. It really can draw you in if you let it. As I've been told, and as I believe, doubt only dies if you keep pouring trust in. I'm trusting in this league, and I have no doubt it's going to be absolutely amazing. So let's go straight on to Saturday. We do have a TV game to talk about, but we will finish off on that because we have some team news to share, if you haven't already seen. So first up, we got Llandovery travelling to the Brewery Field to take on Bridgend. Now, I don't want to say it's a foregone conclusion because obviously we've got, where are they? Let's have a look. 8th placed Bridgend against 3rd place Llandovery. Drovers obviously just missing out on the cup final. But Bridgend's last performance that same weekend, well, that second half performance, I say, absolutely destroyed Pontypool 43-7. So that's their last 40 minutes of rugby to go off. And it's obviously Scott Baldwin was on, what was it called? It was another podcast. I haven't listened to it quite yet. I will try and remember the name of it for you guys. I do mean to listen to it. But, can Bridgend need a marquee performance now? Okay, they've done really well against Pontypool, and if it was last season, yeah, that would have been a marquee performance. But this season has turned out not so much. Have Bridgend done enough to challenge Llandovery? It's going to be the pack that needs to front up. So what are we thinking? Because obviously I'm basing it off that Pontypool game, and the pack was beaten in that first 40.
Yeah, and that's the worry. I think looking at it from Bridgend, they'd be very pleased that like Ryan Wilkins is back now, assuming he's available for this game as well. So they've got they've obviously, as you've already mentioned, they've got the momentum, they've got that sort of, okay, this is what we're doing. But they just lack that little bit up front at the moment. They can't seem to get consistency in anything they do around set piece or physicality, things like that, around the breakdown. And as much as I look at Llandovery this year, and they're hard to predict because when Lee Rees and Johan Thomas Hughes, Jesus Christ, why am I having a brain fart here? Are together, they work well. But when they start having a load of academy allocation coming in, they seem to be a bit more 40 minutes on, 40 minutes off. And I can see this with all due respect to Bridgend, I can see this being a game where we see 6+ Scarlets in this Llandovery team across the 23, maybe disrupts it. Maybe that helps Bridgend in that opening 40 minutes, helps them get a platform in this, make a bit more of a game of it. Because that's what I think Bridgend need to do. Like you said, they're moving up the table. They're only in 8th, but they are moving up the table. And it's, like you said, it's going to be interesting for Llandovery off the back of a cup final defeat, how they turn it round, because that's the mentality thing more than the bodies are not going to be tired, and stuff like that. Obviously, if you're injured, you're injured, but it's that mentality. How do you got to pick yourself up to get into it? So it's I don't see anything other than a Llandovery win, but I'm hoping that Bridgend can make this competitive because that's what we've already mentioned around this league is.
Yeah. I mean, I am with you. I mean, there is. I don't know how much an effect it will have, but Ebbw Vale announced earlier today that they've signed Dylan Burrows from Bridgend. You know, he hasn't featured for a couple months, but he was a main feature in the row at the first 2/3 of the season. So not having that experience in training, a game to fall back on, but I'd like to think they're in a good place right now. Obviously, they're having Evan Hill and Will Greatbanks from Ospreys at the minute, and yeah, I can't see anything other than a Llandovery win. My only little caveat is that I know that quite a lot of the academy allocation for the Scarlet are on the injury shelf at the minute. And obviously, what we will come to find out when we talk about Quins is their 10. Their 10 isn't with them.
Look at this. Already planting the seed. You're an absolute disgrace, Martin. Honestly.
Absolutely love it.
In other words, you were going with Bridgend, yeah?
Nah, I can't, my friend. I'd love to, but
So you were disagreeing with Bucky, who's going for Bridgend.
well, wasn't it this fixture last year? But I believe it was in the last round that Bridgend actually pulled a little sneaky one out. What was it, 34-33? I mean,
Do you know what? That's the sort of game though. You do look at that scoreline and go, that benefits Bridgend. A bit of an open. Yes, Llandovery have got far better weaponry, but that open, not quite structured set piece, end to end, a bit like what RGC thrive off, or so people like Swansea, open game, and it's a bit like you don't really know what's coming next, and it's just who can score that couple of tries in a row just to give him the lead, and then you bounce back and forth.
yeah.
But
So Bucky's gone for Bridgend. Me and you both have gone for Llandovery, so that is a Llandovery swing. Let's take an easy game by you next. So we'll head up north as we see RGC against Aberavon. Now, obviously, we saw some improvement with Aberavon through the Cup group stage. 24-28 loss at home to Aberavon, loss at home to Cardiff a couple of weeks ago. That's fairly commendable. It's a commendable performance, respectable, as you said. So obviously the trip up north, we mention it every time with RGC, that 4 hours or however long it is travel, either way has an impact. Obviously the impact is on Aberavon this side, but we've also got RGC that haven't had a game since losing that plate final. Where the head's going to be at, how are they going to manage? Because like we saw for at least 40 minutes in that Pontypool game with Swansea, the emotional high of a game like that, it lingers for a while, and you probably need at least 80 minutes to properly get it out of your system, and they haven't had that yet. So can Aberavon cause a problem?
I see this as a bit of a Bridgend Llandovery game. I do see Aberavon making this a competitive match. I do see them causing some problems, and they are a better unit, across the past 2 months than where they were 2 months ago. But RGC, I just feel they're just an all-round better side. They've got a little bit better form. And I know we say that Aberavon have played more recently, but in reality, then they also had a bye the week before. A blank week a week before, a bye before that. So they had a fortnight off where RGC played in both of those games. In both of those weeks. So therefore, RGC have been playing reasonably regular rugby. I don't think it's a bad thing sometimes to have a week off after a cup final if you lose it. Well, I mean, even if you win it, because certain teams do, react in different ways. Some teams, like like to get straight back out there and have a go, but sometimes living off emotion isn't how it's done. I think RGC are, again, a very open-edge, ragged sort of team. And I just feel at the moment Aberafan aren't structured enough and aren't disciplined enough just to deal with that. So I can see RGC getting some decent points out of this one.
Yeah, I'm expecting a big reaction for them, especially on their own patch as well. They like the artificial surface. It's nice and fast. It suits the way they play. And yeah, I just don't think Aberafan defensively and up front are ready to really nullify them at the minute. So that's another 2 of us for RGC. Has Bucky gone for his own?
No, but he hasn't gone for RGC. He was tied and he's gone for a draw.
A draw. Oof.
He's missed the draws. He said he disappointed he couldn't go for him in the final or the semi-finals. So he's gone for a draw to get back to drawing ways.
Happy days. Okay, next fixture on the card is Pontypool against Cardiff, and I've got a few words from Mr. Fishbayer. So, expecting another tough game Saturday against Pooler. The league table doesn't tell the story. We know how much of a better team they are than the table shows. A good win last time out against Aberafan, and we know we need a better performance come Saturday. We've worked on bits of our game that we think will make us even harder team to play against, and hopefully that comes out on the weekend. A couple of boys back this week, then a couple more will come back the following week, so it's nice to welcome some of those 20 boys back after the Six Nations. So, obviously, we got big Cardiff down in South Africa, and I believe that Tom Howard's travelled down there, so that's, even though he hasn't featured a great deal for Cardiff this season, that is one person they can't call upon. But obviously, Cardiff have a hooker factory, so no big issue there. They put, what was it? I think 5 or 6 of one of the under-20s starting backline was all Cardiff. So you're expecting a few of them to come flying back in, and quite frankly, off the back of beating Aberafan, getting some strength back in, it's going to be the backs Cardiff outshine. We know Cardiff outshine Pontypool, bang up from the start. It's that forward battle. Maybe it's been away from Pooler Park that hasn't helped. Obviously, Pontypool in the last couple of weeks, they were away to Swansea and away to Bridgend. Maybe being back home will stir them up a bit and get that performance longer than 40 into the 60, 70, 80 that will see them win a game again.
Yeah, this might actually be the toughest one to call this week because, as you say, Cardiff I would expect to be increased quality, even with big Cardiff being away and you take a bolstered squad. So I don't think there's going to be any major drop in names. But you get back your under-20s, and that is a significant portion of this Cardiff team. And they are a far better team when they are there. They're not a sort of a disjointed team that sort of struggles when they have those additional names. They go a lot better. Pontypool equally, I think, will have a bounce back. They're at Pooler Park. There's 2 games now where they've thrown away a game. They've thrown away a comfortable win against Bridgend. They only needed one try and they had the bonus point wrapped up. And at that point, you're probably looking at 6 points. They've thrown away a win against Swansea. So you sort of think, well, then I don't think they're going to do that 3 times in a row. Whether they win or lose is another matter. But I don't think they're going to throw it away. But I think what's swinging me on this one is the weather's supposed to be bloody lovely.
Oh,
and I just think that swings it back Cardiff's way. I really think that Pooler will take a scalp. I think they're going to beat one of the big teams because they have so many of them. But I just don't think it's going to be Cardiff this week, unfortunately.
I'm really intrigued by what you just said now on the weather, and it is set to be a nice hot, and it's fairly humid, mind. but oof,
Yeah, D for props.
yeah, yeah. I think. Damn it! Oh,
Yeah.
I want to be a bit different, man. But do I choose this one?
Do it, Martin. Do it.
Yeah, okay. I like to be
Agree with
different.
John.
Agree with John, is it?
Yeah. John's gone with
Oh,
Pooler.
then I'm gonna go with John. I'm gonna go for a point
Ooh.
of difference by you, and
Ooh.
it is that home factor for me. And like we've seen that we have seen the chief effect. We saw it during the cup round, and quite clearly you can just look at the draw with Newport. They get up for it in big games, and right now their big games are their home games. So they're gonna get up for this one. They're gonna do the job, and they're gonna make that fight for the top six, top four even tighter again. Boom. Okay, next one up, we got Ebbw Vale and Newport. And I hear of both coaches in this, but yeah, Jason Strange of Ebbw Vale, yeah, he was really, really, really detailed, really, really thorough on what he wanted to say. Really looking forward to Saturday, expecting a big crowd. Also, first home game since December the 20th against Pontypool. Done, dusted,
It's because
everything.
he's released a big statement about returning to league action through the club website. This Matt is internal PR and all that.
Meh. Okay, over to Ty Morris, and as we know, Ty really does enjoy giving us his thoughts, which I love. I love the coaches that like to give us a lot and we can work with. So, looking forward to another huge battle against Ebbw this weekend. Group are in a good place right now, coming off the cup win with the players returning to fitness, adds real strength and depth to the squad. That said, we're under no illusions, this will be our toughest challenge to date. Ebbw have put together an outstanding run, going 14 plus games while defending the Challenger Shield, which makes Eugene Cross one of the most difficult places to go and get a result. Semi-final clash showed there was very little between the sides, and that only reinforces how demanded this will be. We know they'll be motivated, looking for a response. It's important we get our emotional edge right. The group has already shown it's capable of winning there, but to do it again, we will need a complete performance. Our defense must be resilient, our attack clinical, and our set piece solid if we're to get the result we are aiming for. So, as already pointed out, that perfect little Challenger Shield run that you've gone on is up for grabs. But importantly, this time around, the game is on Saturday. It's been known well in advance. So
Yeah.
you're gonna have your first choice 23, your first choice available 23. And quite frankly, I think that's going to prove a difference. You know, you 80 minutes in that semi final, you were neck and neck. Also, you took a late try, but you were neck and neck. It went to extra time. And now we know that you're not going to be down a few players, not having to mess around with things. And obviously, there is a bit of a niggle over how that fixture got moved in the first place. There's that's a little bit of extra edge. Yeah, Ebbw, anything other than Ebbw win year is not only a statement, it's going to be a bit of a cry for help for Ebbw, really.
Martin, stirring. Put that wooden spoon away, sir.
Well, I just won it last weekend.
No, I do think this is going to be a nice, tasty clash. Again, I think being at Ebbw does make that massive difference. Obviously, I know that Newport won the final there, but I feel that everyone's a lot more confident in an Ebbw Newport game when it's not played at Spitty. It's not played at Rodney. It does make that difference. Like I said, even though the pitch is going to be in good nick, it's going to have a lot of sunshine now this week leading up to it. Obviously, there hasn't been a game on it since December 20th, so it's not had a heavy usage other than a few training sessions. like I said, that Challenger Shield, I think it does add motivation. I'll be honest. I think it adds motivation for every team coming up. Doesn't matter whether you're at the top of the table or whether you're at the bottom of the table, you have that opportunity to take it, and then it becomes yours to start defending. Like I do think that the whole thing around Newport being arseholes in the cup and the league being won at Ebervale last year, the extra time factor, everything's building it up to be this is going to be another brilliant game of rugby, and that's what we got to remember is that semi-final was a great game of rugby. Nothing between the two sides at all across 80 minutes, and Ebu just ran out a little bit of gas, I think. But as you say, they're now back into it. They're going to have a full side available, obviously, in terms of, those who are fit. Obviously, they've announced now that Tom Price is the new fly-half going forward with Evan Lloyd, who I think will probably still be out, I think, based off the time frame that we've seen. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a really good quality affair. And I say that because I'm not going to be there because I'm doing a charity fishing match.
Oh, biggest game of the season to date, and he's cacking himself, and he's picked up an excuse. That's what it is. Any excuse not to be there.
Nah.
All right. So, obviously, I've already set out my stalls. I'm going for Ebu because, quite frankly, you have to win this game. And I know you don't need it in terms of the league table, but in terms of what it means in your rivalry and in the end of the season, you've got to win this game.
Yeah, I just think it kickstarts the season again because the cup was tough. 2 games that were called off, 1 game that had to be moved round. You lost the Cardiff League game that was effectively played during round 1 of the cup. So it's been you win a couple of games, 2 called off. 1 of those was moved grounds. You lost the league game against Cardiff. Oh, then you go to a semi-final. You lose the semi-final in extra time. You just need to get that going again. Get the points on the board. Start ticking him over because, as we say, all of a sudden, you don't want people like Cardiff. Man, it's mainly going to be Cardiff at the moment closing that gap. It's still 15 points back to Cardiff, so it's not a small gap. But you lose a fixture and Cardiff gain. All of a sudden, Cardiff have made 2 big gains. That's gone from a 20-point gap. So, yeah. And obviously, Newport close in as well. But yeah, it's Ebu for me.
Yeah.
And for John.
No way. It's a clean sweep. Our first clean sweep of the week. I kind of knew he was going to go for that because, it's John. It's what he does. But yeah, as you just said, Newport are occupying that 4th spot in the table. So they are in that top mix. So a lot, we could see 3 of the top 6 losing this weekend. We could see Cardiff lose to Pula. We will see one of Newport or Ebu lose. And obviously next game, we're going to see one of 5 or 6 lose. So, very, very tasty. That does bring us on to Thursday Night Lights. Tomorrow or today, whenever you listen to this. It might even be in the past. Who knows? So, Thursday, the 19th of March, 7:30, S4C, BBC iPlayer, YouTube, wherever you watch it to, it will have Carmarthen Quins against Swansea. Now, I do have a couple words from both coaches, so let's have the home coach. Let's have a look. What did Carmarthen Quinn, Stephen Thomas have to say? Excited to be back to league business. Camp is hoping to welcome a few boys back in the coming weeks. Anticipation's very high. Short, sharp, and sweet. Over to Joe Thomas, the man that's given Swansea that piece of silverware. I know he was given a heavy hand. So really excited for this game. It was a real tough ding-dong in the plate semi-final. We came out on the right side of that. So, expecting exactly the same and more. It's a very tough place to go and win. Hoping to confirm our allocation from the Ospreys. We've got a couple niggles, but our team is looking strong. So, on that, shall we have a look at the teams?
Podcast exclusive, Martin.
No, they've already posted them.
Yeah, we'll count this. We'll just say that we recorded beforehand.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Actually recording on Tuesday.
yeah. This what are you on about? This Sunday. It's Sunday, but I don't know what you're on about. Okay, so let's go with the away team. So we see the return of that big fullback, Lewis Edwards. Happy.
That's a fucking throwback, isn't it? That big fullback. Oh, John.
So it's really good to see him back playing. I want to. Did he? I think he may have turned out to the under-20s in the last round of the Six Nations. Off the bench. I'm not 100% on that. So, keep that in mind. Then we got Ewan Glynn and Brandon Wood, both try scorers last week. Bit of a change in the centres. We got Callum Carson switching to 13 with Jack Hoskins. Halfbacks, as you are, Josh Phillips, Matthew Aubrey. Back row, a bit of a shuffle. Bowden moving to a blind side. Shenton up to 8. And Ethan Fackrell coming in for open side. Same locks, Ben Roberts, Chris Thompson. We've got Ed Thompson, tight head, Rodri King, hooker, both up off the bench from last week, and Dav Davis on the loose. Jamie Cox is back from his GB7's coaching duties. I was told he wouldn't be involved till next week. Tom Crockett, Matt Price, prop cover, Jake Roberts, Luca Giannini, Ewan Temblett, coach Joe Thomas, and winger Liam Lloyd on the bench. Very, very strong squad. Bit of movement in terms of consistency. It'll be interesting to see how that back row goes because they got a few different combinations available to them, so very interested on that. Over to Quins and Elia George at fullback. Elan Phillips moves from centre out to the wing. Jack Howells 12 to 13. Gabe McDonald comes back after a brief cameo with the Scarlets. Thomas Williams on the other wing. Steph Jack Jones comes in from the Scarlets / Llandovery / Wales 20s, just because there is no 10, and you'll see just how bad the 10 situation is when we get to the bench. Aaron Hemmings at 9. We haven't seen him in a Quinn shirt in about 3-4 years. I'm not sure.
Aberravon and Swansea as well.
Yes, I'm not sure where he's been playing this season, but obviously he was with Swansea last season, Aberravon the year before. So I'm hoping he might bring in some Swansea secrets with him. Back row, Lewis Millen at 8. Sean Evans finally back in his preferred 7. Ocean Williams, another Scarlet and Wales 20s at 6. Locks, as you were, Lee Taylor, Tom Phillips. Props, as you were, Connor Allen, Reece Fawcett. And at hooker, the return of Lewis Morgan. That's a big one. On the bench, Ivan James and Chris Davis cover prop. Keanu Evans on his first year converting to hooker, covering there. Ryan Bean, Yeston Richards, Ben Williams, Scarlett. The young scrum half, Bowen Clark. And wearing 23 in what must be his 57th season, Aled Thomas.
I told you last week. Told you. I called it on the pod.
You did, and it's quite funny, really, to see you actually call Andy come through. Just wow. But okay, let's have proper discussion now. For me, obviously the Quins backs are, it's going to be touch and go, the new half backs, but outside backs, okay, apart from obviously Steph Evans and Yori Badham, who I would prefer as my 15-14 given the choice. It's very good. It's as good as we can expect in this league. But it is the pack that the difference maker. It is the back row is so much more balanced. Having Sean in that 7 jersey makes a huge difference, and having Lewis Morgan back at hooker is massive as well. He played the Dragons, called upon him last season to go to South Africa and play. When you're looking at where the hooker stocks is in this league, who obviously outside of those already in an academy, who's getting called upon for training, who's getting called upon for these games with the regions when they're struggling. Lewis Morgan was one of them. And there's a clear reason for that. He is a damn good player and he makes a huge difference.
That is the sort of shuffle that you want, though, right? Yes, there's question marks over the halfbacks, but there's been question marks over those even when they've been fit around the combos and how good certain players are. The fact that people like Gabe McDonald's back after playing at a higher level, I do like the back line, I'll be honest. I think there's a few people there moving back into positions that they should be. Jack Howells, people like that, move them into a position that they are more used to. Then, as you say, you actually have a hooker starting at the hooker for the first time in 2 months. And like you said, Sean Evans is one of those players that just does it all. He was superb as well. I don't think we've seen the best of him being at hooker either, unfortunately. So I think having someone of Lewis Morgan's quality coming back is superb. But I think that Maul becomes a weapon again. Having someone like Sean who starts to look at those calls and starts to look at the lifting and getting in and making sure there's no air gaps in there, so that Maul can squeeze up and get that ball back to someone who last season was 18, 19 tries last season. Lewis Morgan scored, and a lot of them off the back of a Maul. So I think that's where they're going to target Swansea. I think, yes, there's good to see certain players back for Swansea. Up the big fullback pod. That was about episode two of this season. Jesus Christ.
It was early on. It was.
But yeah, I just feel that they haven't overawed a poor Pooler team. A good pack, but I think what you see there could be similar. Let's have a look. Pooler's pack were on top. Quins have got a very good pack, so I think they'll be on top. I don't think Swansea have quite got that balance, as you say. They've got quite a few players around your Bowdens, Hopkins, Giannini's. They're trying to work out how many open sides and blind sides they want to play this season.
Yeah, because I'm looking at their background now, and I don't see an out and out 8 between Shenton, Fackrell, and Bowden.
No, they're not. Bowden is an out and out 6. He's a big ball carrier, and he likes to get stuck in, and he is a superb defender. He's been in my team of the season within the past few seasons.
Yeah.
Ethan Fackrell is great over the ball, an out and out 7. But I would also say Ewan Shenton's more towards an out and out 7.
See, I like even when he was with the Scarlets Academy, I thought I would have put him more towards a 6, but a 6-7 is definitely more of his game. Yeah,
he's a breakdown specialist for me in that back row, but I don't think it works because are they gonna have who's carrying there for me? I don't think there's huge, big, well-renowned carriers. Ben Roberts likes to carry, Dav Davis, in the tight 5. But you're not looking at that tight 5 and going, yeah, that's league. They're not Josh Skinners and people like that. That's the sort of caliber you need.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'll be honest,
if we're going man for man, look at the balance of the back row. Quinn's obviously just look that much better. Ocean Williams just tackles for days. Sean Evans, we've already spoken enough about him. He just loves a ruck and he will get in for everything. And the carrying that Lewis Millen provides, I mean, you go back and look at the stats of this, the type of stats that WIU produced. The amount of dominant carries and hits he goes through is ridiculous. And we can look into other areas of the pack. Then you got Tom Phillips, another strong big carrier. Reece Fawcett the same. Lewis Morgan as well. And obviously this isn't discounting any of the Swansea players.
No,
but we know, yeah.
I think the other thing for Swansea is who's been their best player this past month. Matt Prothero. And all of a sudden, you drop him out to 23. Whether he's available or injured or whatever, it doesn't matter. When you lose your best player, your player who's 5 tries in the last 2 games?
Yeah.
Hat-trick and a brace. yes, Lewis Edwards is a fantastic player, absolutely fantastic. But that backline's missing a few players. I think Matt Prothero has to be in there more often. We've already mentioned him being in and around the Ospreys. Then you start looking at the academy allocation. Ian Cornelius has been superb when he's played in the wing. Harry Houston has gone between wing and fullback over the last 18 months and been very good. So you are sort of looking at this going, there's a bit of a chop and change and not an imbalance in the back row in the back line, but I just feel that they're missing that bit of sparkle that Swansea can have.
Yeah, I'm looking at their centres as well and going, I know who their top three centres are, and the three of them are in the matchday 23, but I don't know who their best centre pairing is.
Yeah.
There are some questions there, but obviously that's exciting for Swansea to know. You've got three very, very top quality centres in there, and it's just finding which ones click the best. Obviously, for personal reasons, I'm hoping it's not Hoskins and Carson. But and I say that because my boy's name is Carson, so I don't like saying I'm not Carson. But yeah, so this is a big one. This is 5th against 6th at Carmarthen Park. Oof! I think I've already gone through enough, and everything I'm saying is twisting me towards a Carmarthen Quins win to get us back on the board and to conveniently leapfrog into 5th. But one sec, let me just have a look. Ooh, 6-pointer. Newport lose. Could go up to 4th. Could go up to 4th. So do we want Bucky's decision or do we want Double R's decision first?
Oh, do you know what? What's Bucky's decision? Because I want to see where this goes. Because I know who I'm gonna pick.
Ooh, what did Bucky say? I'm gonna have to have a look at it. I think Bucky may have actually said a draw.
Thank God for that. Because if you'd have said Quins, I'd have gone, oh, well, that's a sweep for Quins, because I do think Quins are going to do this.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I think Quins are one of these sides I like to see do well. They're a proper club in my eyes that are at this level. They've got a great pathway of their own, let's look away from the Scarlets, their own Carmarthen, the mini and junior section. Jesus Christ. That's the entire population of Carmarthen is the size of that.
So obviously, if anyone who's been to Carmarthen to watch a Quins or watch your team against the Quins, you'll know Carmarthen Park. So that's centre of town. That's where the game is. But for the mini and junior section, you got to go more towards the hospital. You got to go to Abergwili, and there's a few fields down there. And the minis and juniors, they've got their whole own area to do everything. And fair play, they rack up a lot of numbers, which you would expect given the size of the town. But there's loads of clubs around. You go Nancaredig, Carmarthen Athletic, teams within just a stone's throw away, and I'd like to see us working more with these local teams. I'm not on about poaching players for fun and all, but I'd like to see some collaboration. Really, so we see with the regional and the SRC the way you want to bring everyone together to push up the regional. I'd like to see it the same with the SRC. I'd like to see it like a little bit like what we've seen with Aberavan, because they pull in a lot of their local talent. I'd like to see that with everyone, really. But obviously for me, Quins is my focus. And obviously, Carmarthen Athletic having that barn down the road is not too bad to, maybe get a relationship going and use that in some bad weather. Shocking. Oh, well, that brings us to the end of this week's pod. Nice, short, sharp, sweet. So, like, share, subscribe, hype. There might be a shop if you're listening to this on YouTube underneath. Same as always, comment, tell us we're talking shit, tell us you agree. Tell us anything. 500 followers on Twitter. Hey, well done. I got to give credit to Rob for that. He did push very, very hard for that. But now, what is the next target? I do have to ask. Is it straight to 1,000 or we go smaller?
501. 501 is the next target, Martin.
Okay, so the question is, have we hit 501 yet?
Oh, hang on a minute. I said 501 because you were on 501 yesterday. Some fuckers unfollowed us.
No way.
We're back to 500.
No. Oh my god, that is terrible. Terrible. Oh, and I just had it up. Where's it gone? No. Oh no, I can't believe I've done that. The podcast for what's his face?
Scott Baldwin.
Yeah. Beyond something. Crap, I just had it. Where did it go? Where did it go? Oh no. Here we go. Okay, clicking on it. Yeah, Beyond the Breakdown. That's the one. Beyond the Breakdown. There we go. If you want to have a listen to that, if you are Ospreys based or you just like Scott Baldwin, which I know some people do, it's a good listen. But yeah, that's it for this week. Rob, thank you for joining me. Thank you everyone for listening. Like I said, like, share, subscribe, do your thing, and we will come back next week and review the last. Well, what was it? Round 16? 16 of 18? It's almost over. All right, lad. Goodbye for now. See you next week.
Everyone.
Super.